Welcome back to the Manufacturing Come Up. I'm Malachi Greb, your host, and today we have Cory Conners, the host of the Sustainable Packaging Podcast.
Good
Glad to
morning.
have you today.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's my honor.
And thank you. It's an honor to have you. I don't think yet we've had any sustainable packaging podcast experts or experts of the industry yet, so uh, this should be definitely a valuable asset to the community.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I have to ask you, what is that amazing contraption behind you?
Oh, this
That's
contraption, it's a this is a weld fixture
oh,
for seat frames.
that's really cool. Very impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. It's got a lot of detail to it. I'm impressed as well. The team did a great job on this one.
Yeah, love seeing that kind of stuff behind the scenes. Really interesting.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So, why don't you go ahead and start off by giving us a brief rundown of where you're currently at in your career and what type of things you have going on in life?
Yeah, so I started back in manufacturing myself, making boxes at Weyerhaeuser. Paid my way through college that way. And I spent the last 20 years with Landsberg Aurora as a
Oh
sustainable
wow.
packaging consultant in sales and servicing customers, helping them improve their packaging, lower costs, improve their sustainability, and really been enjoying that aspect of my career. The last few years, I've really been focusing on sustainable packaging as far as social media goes. And
Mm,
started my TikTok page at Corrugated, as you can see on the screen there, and that just took off like crazy. And that turned
really?
into LinkedIn, a creator accelerator program where they invited 100 people across the USA uh, to learn about LinkedIn and how to be a creator on that platform. And that was an amazing experience and learned so much and really broadened my horizons on the potential here, which has turned into now this podcast and is taking me all over the world to speak at events and to do podcasts live. Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, it is absolutely. So, what are some of the things that and the values that you're attempting to add to the community through your podcast?
Yeah, it's all about education for me. I want to let people know what's possible and how they can
Right.
improve the sustainability of their packaging without spending too much money, oftentimes, or oftentimes even saving money, which is really kind of counterintuitive. People are so used to quote unquote green or environmentally friendly packaging being more expensive. Whereas now we're identifying ways to make it a cost savings as well as better for the environment.
Mm, absolutely. So, whenever you say sustainable packaging, for those who don't know what sustainable packaging is, can you give them a brief description?
Sure, sure. And a lot of people will give you very different definitions, but in my opinion, sustainable packaging are types of packaging that can be reused or recycled and have the lowest impact on the environment for that item that you're shipping. And sometimes it's not what you would think it would be. It's not always a paper option because it depends on a lot of factors. You know, where you're shipping from, what you're shipping. There's nothing sustainable about broken, damaged products or rotten food. So we're oftentimes asked about that, and it's always the answer is the sustainable option is not always going to be the same and not always going to be what you think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like maybe a good way of thinking about that is something that's reusable. So even like if it's a plastics, if it's a reusable thing and you can use it time and time again,
Yes.
that is now more sustainable option.
Yeah. And about educating our clients and our consumers. Consumers are 67% more likely to buy something if it's packaged sustainably. And
Mm,
that's a big deal for sales, right? People are interested in that. They want to know about how to accomplish that.
yeah, absolutely. So what started your journey into talking about sustainable packaging?
Yeah, great question. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and here it's always been about that. We've always focused on green or environmentally friendly packaging before it was called sustainable packaging. So I've been learning how to do this from back when I was early 20s, starting out with companies like Powell's Books and the largest independent book retailer. And they taught me how to do it, and they forced me to learn. Like, hey, let's get on top of this. We don't want to use this kind of material anymore. Figure out something that's
Mhm.
better for the environment, that's
Yeah,
recyclable or reusable. Absolutely.
awesome. So it started off with kind of like your local area's culture,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah. The Northwest is, we were the first to have a bottle deposit bill back in the 70s,
Mm,
before I was born. And now we're one of the leaders in that kind of attitude and mindset. And I remember the first time I drove to California as a kid and watched people throw cans in the garbage. I thought, what are you doing? Stop. But that, I think that mindset is changing. I think people are recycling more, and
yep.
the trend is positive in that sense.
Gotcha. What are you currently doing in the company you're in? What does your job roles look like within that company?
Well, it's changed quite a bit recently. I'm focusing more on social media and
Mm,
speaking at events. I'll be at Paris Packaging Week here in a few weeks in Paris, France, as a
nice.
speaker on a panel. Thank you so much. I'm really excited about that. And those are the kinds of opportunities where I can represent Landsberg Aurora and talk about
Mm,
our sustainability journey, which is really we're on track to be one of, if not the most sustainable packaging company in the world.
wow, that's incredible. So you've definitely spent quite a long time with this company. You said 20 years now, right?
Yeah,
That's incredible. I think mad respect to anybody who's spent that extended period of time with a single company.
thank you. And I'm thankful to work for Landsberg Aurora. It's the kind of company where you can grow, you can learn, you can
Mm.
adapt. Uh, it's different every day, and I couldn't do this role if it wasn't constantly changing. uh, you know, uh, when the pandemic hit and I had to sit at my desk for a few weeks, I
Mm.
uh, about
Yep.
lost it. I'm not used to that. I'm on the go. I'm meeting with
Yep.
my friends and customers and trying to help them out. Whereas so that's why I've been able to do it for so long, is
Mm.
because it's a constantly evolving and changing company. We're
Yep.
always trying to improve, and uh, buying new companies, expanding our capabilities with Aurora Visual, things like that, where we print our own packaging.
Mm.
Really exciting things.
That is definitely super exciting. I think it's super important too, like for companies to have long sustainability of employment.
Yeah,
Uh, they need the shift. They need to be a growing company. I think that's one of the big things that just naturally happens. Like if you're a company seeking growth and like especially really pushing the limitation of growth, it creates like an entire ecosystem of excitement and like
right.
managers driving people and keeping the ball like always moving forward.
I agree, 100%. People want to work for a company where they feel like they can grow and learn and improve and be a part of the solution. And I think that's why so many people stay at Landsberg for so long. Aurora is really growing. We're a $4 billion corporation based out of Melbourne, Australia, the largest wine bottle manufacturer there in Australia, and
Mm.
aluminum cans as well. So
Oh
that's
wow,
exciting to be a part of that. And then the Landsberg side of things is in North America and really growing as well.
that's awesome. For your particular career path, what pushed you into working with this company?
Yeah, great question. I was 18 years old, graduated high school, and didn't want to go to college because I knew I wouldn't make use of my tuition funds the right way.
Right.
So I went and worked at Weyerhaeuser making boxes, and did that for a solid year, and realized this is really hard work, and I need to do something where I can be more useful in a sales environment. And my dad, my grandpa, we're all sales people, and I saw how hard it was. So I knew I was in for a big challenge, but I was up for it and really excited to get that opportunity right out of college. I saw Landsberg at a career fair, and although my role has changed quite a bit from my first day on the job, it's still the same company, which is really cool.
What did you initially start doing?
Just sales, rookie salesperson.
Gotcha.
Nothing else. Like that was beeline focus on that. And cold calls, sometimes 40, 50 a day, and really earned my stripes. Slept on my friend's couch for a year, and made my way up the chain. Survived.
Yeah, I think that process is like super important, of like going through that grind and like that hard sales experience. It's like it's an experience that I really wish I would have went through, because like, I came from more of like the engineering side of things. So like shifting as a business owner and into sales, it's like it's been it's definitely been an interesting shift. And also too, like some of those things that are just like the grinding that you have to do, like just picking up the phone and call and call and call and
Yeah.
call, like that was something like I didn't really have guidance at first of like, hey, this is what we need to be doing. And it's like honestly still today, like still developing on our sales side, as far as like what are some of the things we need to be doing in our sales processes to keep things growing.
Right. Sales solves all problems, right? That's what I've heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's an important business lesson, I think.
What was your next transition? So you had that
Um,
sales position.
I think leadership roles, advising rookie reps and things like that, taking on more responsibilities, and then social media came, and I just was all in on it, and that was really exciting to be a part of that growth for our marketing team, and get to be a part of, like I said, of the LinkedIn Creator Accelerator program. TikTok is, we're narrowing in on 100,000 followers, and all I talk about is
Nice,
sustainable packaging. And that's like,
nice.
whoa, how did that
Yeah.
happen? And at first people were very critical of what I was doing, saying, why are you wasting your time with that when you should be focused on this? And I said,
Mm,
well, just wait and see. You'll see what happens. And now we've got
yeah.
big sponsors for the podcast, and get to work with companies like SpecRite and 3M Scotch brand, and Landsberg is a big sponsor. It's really exciting to be a part of this, the solution of sustainability. We've had the government reach out to us recently and want us to talk to them about how do we do this the right way, so it doesn't affect
Mm,
business, but it also helps our environment. So it's
that's
it's
really cool.
it's 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 I'm excited about
Yeah,
it.
100%, 100%. Yeah, I'm. I don't really talk too much on like sustainability or
Yeah.
a lot of those different topics, but for me personally, I highly believe in them. I think we have to go in those directions, just because like if you look at just like things like global warming, but not even just
Mhm.
global warming. Even if you was to say like it's not global warming and just the Earth has its own patterns and its own shifts that it goes through,
Yeah.
we have to figure out like how do we prolong that, or how do we are we able to shift it? Like we need to start thinking things on like a planetary level of like how do we take care of this thing, and how do we make sure that we're giving back to it and not just always taking from it.
Very well said. And not just polluting it, but helping clean it up. This
Yeah,
affects us all. Like it or not,
yeah.
believe it or not, it affects every one of us every day. You look around, how much packaging is in your office, is in your
Hmm.
house, and how you interact with it. Are you recycling it? Are you throwing it in the garbage? Do you compost? Things like this are affecting us, like it or not. And
Yeah.
so we're here to help. We're here to advise and educate, and come up with new ideas and new ways of doing things that are more sustainable. It's really an exciting time. There's going to be some laws coming, that extended producer responsibility laws, that are going to affect all brands.
Mm. Just like all particular, maybe all particular products having to
Yeah.
shift to like certain compounds.
100%. Yeah. Things are
Gotcha.
changing fast. We need to get on board. We need to educate ourselves. We need
Gotcha.
to be aware of what's happening. And then as consumers, we can do our part too and help recycle and reuse and
Absolutely.
not buy things we don't need and all those things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anything particular that like maybe somebody like a manufacturer would probably not need to start looking at and thinking about?
Yes, there's going to be restrictions on materials, I think. So you need to pay
Yep.
close attention to what are you using and are there alternatives to that?
Mm,
Like, for example, styrofoam. There are situations in different states where that will get outlawed, like California. You won't be able to
wow,
use it. So what do you do instead? You have to come up with an alternative and reach out to someone like us at Landsberg Aurora or someone local to you that can help you identify alternatives.
absolutely. Yeah, I think something like that could be like extremely important because I mean, you think about some companies where they're the producer of plastic products, or
Yep.
you know vehicle manufacturers where you have all types of
Yep.
housings within the vehicle that are made of different compounds, and if you
Mhm.
have any one of those compounds ever become illegal to use,
Right.
that's a whole shift in the product. I mean, especially if it was a major component that was like one of the main chemical structures
Right.
of that compound.
Absolutely. And manufacturers are shifting quickly and being prepared with a plan B or a plan C. Hey, what if we tried this material? Would this work? Would this multi-layer mono material work instead of this multi-material, multi-layer material? That's possible and that's happening. Great companies are doing big things in that arena right now.
Awesome. Going back to your kind of your shift. For one, are you considering yourself sales now? Or are you consider yourself marketing? Where do you kind of
Yes. Both for sure. And, we're here to help service in a sales function and also working with the marketing team here at Landsberg. Um, it's it's both, and it kind of always has been. And I think, in my opinion, even if you don't think you are part of the marketing team, you really are. Every action that you do is part of the marketing team at your company.
Yep.
Every interaction with the customer or client, every social media post, you're putting the brand out there, and
Yep.
we can all be so impactful in positive ways and negative ways, unfortunately, with how we act out there in the world of social media.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's super important that this is like, I've been pretty familiar with like marketing for some years now, but it wasn't until like starting the company and everything like that to really understand that like your marketing alignment and your sales alignment need to be one with each other, because
Yeah,
if not, you're trying to sell a product that you're out here telling the world that this is what we do, but if you're trying to sell this other thing, then
yeah.
you're not building really any confidence. You're not building any uh, backbone to your the sales that you're doing.
Right. If it's not congruent with each other, then it falls apart. And so
Absolutely.
that's where good companies become great is aligning
Absolutely.
those missions.
When did you kind of start getting involved in the marketing side of things?
About just before the pandemic started,
Okay.
which was very interesting how that worked. And it was when once the pandemic hit, I just went all in on it. Like, if I'm going to be sitting
Really?
here in front of my laptop, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try
Yeah.
new things, and started making TikTok videos and listen to Gary Vaynerchuk. And he,
Yeah.
this is his mindset, right? Like, just
Yeah.
get out
Absolutely.
there, spread the message, tell everybody what you know, and
Hmm.
you'll be amazed at how valuable the information you think isn't so important because
Yeah.
you think about it all the time. Whereas other people, I'll post something that I've known for years and or just learned, and I'll be totally blown away by the response to that idea or concept.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like now we have a great platform to share the things that we've learned throughout our career, and
Yeah.
some things are so like, career specific, or just your story could just be in more alignment with one person versus another, and the people that you really align with, that they're really going to take that knowledge and run with it, and maybe make an impactful change in their life.
And that's an exciting part of the whole thing, right? How we're actually affecting people, and how I'll have people reach out to me. Hey, we tried that thing that you mentioned, and boy, do we love it! And it sure has reduced our carbon footprint. And thank you so much for telling us about this alternative idea.
Mm,
We were really struggling with it because we were tired of throwing away this kind of material and that wasn't recyclable. So it's an honor to be a part of it, and it's really exciting and fun to learn what's possible. I think people are going to be amazed by what's happening in packaging. They're going to go to the grocery store and they're going to not recognize some things, like, whoa, what is that? That's amazing.
mhm.
Like
Yeah.
refill and reuse and things like that in the
Mm.
grocery
You,
store. Uh,
okay. You think we're going to go to more of that type of model?
I do. I do. I think
Really?
that's, oh yeah. And concentrates. So rather than shipping a
Mm,
full bottle of shampoo, you're going to buy a tablet that you will put into that bottle and mix with water and shake it up, and then, oh, shampoo again.
mm. Yeah.
Or solid shampoos like my friends at Dip already. Those things are incredible. The amount
Hmm.
of space you can save in your shower or your bathroom is incredible when you start looking at these alternatives. And you don't
Yeah.
need these giant plastic containers
Mm,
when you can use something that's solid. So
yeah.
things like that are going to change all of our lives, I think.
Yeah. Like one thing that pops in my mind that I could immediately think of is like say for like your washer machine.
Yep.
So have like a cartridge, basically like a printer, right? You just
Hmm.
put in the cartridge. It's good for 500
Right.
plus washes, and then it auto
Absolutely.
dispenses the proper amount for whatever you say that you're washing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is absolutely a great point, and uh, been something that's been one of the first in the transition is away
Mm,
from large bottles of washing up soap,
yeah.
as they call it in Europe. Uh, and I think we're going to those concentrates. We're going to uh, tabs and pellets
Hmm.
or slips of what would look like a slip of paper to us, and then you put it in the washing machine and it works. It turns into
Yeah.
soap. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's exciting. It's fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think and maybe you can answer this question probably better than I can. But like say for instance, when it comes to like concentrates, one of the biggest issues I could see with like on a consumer level with
Mm,
a concentrate is like the overusingness of it, right?
yeah.
So you have this little small thing that makes, I'll give you I'll give you a perfect example of like something that I particularly do. You have your carpet cleaner, right?
Yeah.
And it says, use 1 ounce for 1 gallon. And here I am, I'm
Right.
just like 3, 4 of them.
Wouldn't more be better? Right, right. There's absolutely, and getting the chemistry right. I just interviewed Clorox on my podcast, and we talked about their new refillable concentrate bottles
Mm,
for bathroom foaming clean, and some different spray cleaners.
mm,
And that was exactly their concern. Like, hey, what if our consumers get the mix wrong? So what they did is they have these capsules that twist onto the top of your dispensing bottle that you buy separately, empty.
mm,
You buy it empty, you fill it with water to the line, and then you screw on the
mm,
top, and the liquid falls into the container, and then
mm.
you recycle that much smaller capsule,
Yeah,
uh, and then put the spray nozzle back on, and then you never have to buy that big bottle again. You just buy
yeah,
those little 20% smaller little capsules that are filled with
yeah,
exactly the right amount of concentrate. So
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
it's a cool
You
idea.
know, Absolutely. I don't know, like, business like, I would assume there's has to be some level of business model or profitability, however you wanna look at it, that is really kinda dependent on the overuse of a product. Like I said, I'm triple using, I'm using
Right.
3 caps of laundry detergent, things like that, right?
Very
So
true. Yeah. I think a lot of companies have been relying on us to use too much of their product.
yeah,
Very true.
yeah. Because if you think about that, like, if you just break it down to, like, company profitability and whatnot, if it calls for 1 cap and I use 3 and I do that every single time I use the product,
Yeah.
that's 3 times more revenue essentially for that company.
Absolutely. I do think that in a different mindset with this, I think we're going to create loyalty through
Mm,
these ingenious inventions.
mhm,
Companies like Blue Land, where they sell you the tablet that goes into your hand soap
mm,
or laundry detergent. You know, once you get the system in place, you're just going to keep buying that same item because it
yep,
fits with that dispenser. You know it
yep,
works. You know this much water and that tablet combined to make the right amount of hand soap for us,
mhm,
and and we don't have to question it. We don't have to. Oh, how many pumps was that one again? How many ounces? How many cupfuls? So I think once you get kind of dialed into these things, and you'll see that the products are just as good, if not oftentimes better. That shampoo that I mentioned earlier is the best I've ever used, and it's a bar. It's not in a big plastic container.
hmm, interesting. Where do you kinda see, your career shifting to into the future?
Oh man, I really enjoy doing this kind of thing. I love podcasting and being interviewed and interviewing people. I've interviewed 180 people over the
Oh,
last
wow.
year and a half, and
Congratulations.
thank you. That's been so much fun. A lot of work, as you know,
Yeah.
but so much fun to get to know these amazing people that are working really hard in the world of sustainability and trying to affect positive change. These are the people that have been in the shadows for so long, and now
Mhm,
what they're doing is coming to fruition because people see the value in it. And to be able to provide that platform for them and say, hey, have you guys heard of this? Do you know that this is happening? Do you know that this is possible? It's an honor to be a part of it. So I think the social media, the podcasting, and the TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube, all of that I really enjoy. I enjoy speaking at events.
mm.
I've got a slate filling up quickly for this year, and that's fun.
Yeah.
And getting to meet people, for the first time in my life, I'm being recognized at things like Pack Expo. My friend Adam Peak and I were walking through the hallway, and 3 separate times people said, "Hey, I know you guys. I've seen your posts or I've seen your podcast." Like, I've never had that happen before. It's really
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, absolutely. We've also been putting out, like, content for some time now. Podcast is somewhat newer, but, yeah, it's pretty wild, like, walking through either facilities or just walking through,
yep.
like, events and having people coming up. It's, like, really, really such an honor.
Hmm.
I personally had people come up and say, "Hey, you changed my career," or "Hey, we implemented this type of system that we weren't going to implement at one point in time, but through hearing blah blah blah." Like, it's like, yeah, it's super awesome. Just know that, like, you're having those type of impacts, and also too, I think when you do these things virtually,
Yep.
you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, or what's going on in the real world. Like, you're providing the value, and that's really all you can do is just provide the value as much as you can and find
Yep.
ways to distribute it. But after that, it's kind of up to the universe on, like, what happens with it after that and what type of impact that it has.
Great point. And so many times I have people come up to me in person and they say, "Hey, I love your content on LinkedIn or I love your TikToks. I never comment, but I want you to know that I appreciate them." And there's so many people like that are just consumers
Yep.
of social media. They don't want to be involved. They just want to absorb
View it.
and
Yeah.
view it. And
Yep.
So I think my advice to you is to anyone listening is if you're posting and you're not getting a lot of response, keep going because you never
Mhm.
know who's really looking and
Yep.
really viewing that material. So often I hear of these stories of people, oh, I got a new job because of these couple of posts I did about this topic. People thought
Mhm.
that was really interesting, or I got a new customer because I was educating about this item, so things like that are really exciting, and I encourage people to keep posting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it can be a challenging thing, especially if you're trying to seek any type of growth, or like you're just like a somebody who's like self improvement. Like I'm a big
Yeah,
growth person, right? I like to see things going in an upward fashion, like no matter what it is, right?
right,
Impact, financials, happiness, like it don't matter, like all aspects. And
right.
you got to be careful, like when you're doing this type of things, to like not get things so tied up, because like there's even times where things are ticking up, ticking up, ticking up, and then there'll be like a plummet, and you're like, what happened?
Right.
I thought we was gaining traction.
I've been
um
through that too. It's hard to experience that. You feel, wait, nobody likes me all of a sudden. What happened? What did I do?
yeah.
And it could be the
Yeah.
algorithm. It could be a reset of the platform. It could be some one mistake, and you just got to overcome it. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it really does boil down to like just keep pushing forward and keep pushing into what you're doing. And
right.
I think that also like there needs to be like, I suggest individuals do more like micro influencer stuff. Like don't
Hmm.
even worry about gaining a big following, but just making posts. Like it don't matter what, even if you're just a college student, like just
Yeah.
make content of like what you're doing in college, because you're gonna show somebody
Right.
what it's like in the atmosphere for whatever career path you're in or degree path you're in.
Yeah.
um, you're gonna show employers that, hey, this is what I'm doing on a daily basis, like, and
Yes.
and one, just showing that you have the initiative to like even record a video, write some type of comment about it, and just portray that you're thinking in those ways, right? Because a lot of people are not thinking in like these like higher level ways, and like
Yeah.
expressing what they're doing on a daily basis.
Absolutely, 100% agree. And college students are the most important in this scenario because they need to let potential,
Employers, yeah,
potential
yeah,
employers, potential, internship, those the people that are hiring for those positions are scrolling on LinkedIn, and if you could post every single day about your niche and be the person that they go to and say, hey, did you see this young student from MSU or from whatever college? uh, I want them on our team, and you'll be amazed at who sees your posts. It's incredible. It's really
yeah,
amazing.
absolutely. What so far in your career? What's been uh, maybe your one of the most impactful things for you that you've gotten to do?
Oh, wow. I think speaking on panels and like Waste Expo, and being on stage with amazing people that I've always looked up to,
Mm,
or to be on the stage right after someone who I always thought was amazing, like Tom Zaki or somebody like that from TerraCycle, and to
yeah.
get to meet people like that I've looked up to for so many years and kind of
Hmm.
idolized, is really fun and really an honor and very humbling,
Hmm.
to be allowed to speak or get to meet people like that. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely say like probably one of my top goals on my list would be like to like either do a pre-speaking engagement before like a Gary Vanderchuck, or like
Yeah.
or be able to be on the same stage or something like that.
Oh
Like
yeah.
just to being involved in that production, like that would be like a pretty big milestone in life.
Oh man, I would love to meet him. He's changed my life so many ways, and
Yeah,
it's
I
all
agree.
positive. So
I agree. Yeah, I probably started watching him like 10 years ago,
mhm.
and
He
yeah,
was
I
way ahead of
highly
his time.
yeah, absolutely. I highly advise that individuals like they actually take like things like this podcast seriously, like your podcast
Mm.
seriously, and just like the information and knowledge that people are sharing on the internet. Because if you spend that time instead of watching Netflix videos and you watch some
Right.
more content like this, that your career and in your life will overall and your knowledge will just have such a massive impact. Like me becoming a business owner was because of the Gary Vaynerchuk's, Patrick Bet Davids, Tony
Mhm.
Robbins, like all these different influencers or educators. You hear them for enough years and you're just like, oh, okay, and you start to know your mind will start to shift, right?
Right.
Your mind will shift, and you'll start like looking at things and you're like, I think differently about things than other people think.
Right.
And that'll kind of just like navigate you and take you in different directions throughout your life, and open up tons of opportunity.
Totally. And surrounding yourself with people like that, and people that
Mm,
are, friends and family that are positive and motivating and encouraging, rather than, what are you wasting your time doing that? That's silly.
yep,
So sometimes you have to make hard choices and move
yep,
away from friends that aren't so positive and kind of
yeah,
stuck, or encourage
yep,
them to, hey, you could do this too. Have you ever thought about this? Have you looked at that? What if you had a side job and a side gig or a side hustle, right?
yeah, yeah.
You could totally change your life and improve everything.
Yeah, absolutely. You said that, definitely having to make that hard decision. That's one thing that I've luckily been really good at. I mean, I also went through a transition in life where I 100% knew like these people that I'm hanging out with are not the people I should be hanging out with.
Yeah.
And so whenever I was ready to like completely shift like my life, like I had a pretty hard cutoff, and then I think something about that built like a strength within myself,
Yeah.
where like now if I see somebody with like negative characteristics, it's like
Hmm.
it makes it easier for me to say, okay, I don't really want to associate with that person that much, or I want to distance myself a little bit and not have that close of a relationship.
Right.
Um, I could definitely probably build on the gaining new friends and gaining friends of the space. Like, don't get me wrong, like this past year have gained more like new friends and colleagues in the industry. And a lot of it's been just because of the content creation. Most of them are not like actual local to the area, but like all over the country through like other content creators and just people in that ecosystem.
Totally agree. Some of my best friends now are people I've never met in person. I've only associated with through social media and emailed and contacted through direct messages and things like that.
Yeah, and stuff
Talked
like the
on talked
podcast.
on
Yeah.
Yeah, on the phone or on the podcast,
Yep.
and these are genuine, real friendships.
Mm,
We recently had a loss in our family, and some of the
mm.
first people to reach out to me were people who I've met more recently, like Abelia Matos and Adam Peake, and these people that are some of my best friends, and we've only met each other in person a few times. So
Right.
it's legitimate, it's real, and meeting people on social media is uh, it's an amazing experience when it turns into a real friendship.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, this is like kind of not related, but I think it's a good story to tell.
Love it.
Um, it's revolved around technology at least, but one of my cousin, we like he's probably one of my closest family members, and we really fortified our relationship through video games. He lived like 2-3 hours away from me,
Yeah.
and we would play. It was like Call of Duty Black Ops back in the day, right? I mean,
Right.
like every day after school, we would get on there, we'd play together, and like because I mean, I'm not a huge video game person. I don't play video games anymore at all, but uh, I mean, I was probably addicted back then, but that fortified like a relationship that's like still so strong now. Like even that cousin lived
Right.
with me for some period of time, like
Yeah.
like a brotherhood, more of a brother than even a cousin. It was all through like technology and being able to like build that relationship virtually that then turned into uh, more of a real world relationship.
Yes. And I think it's very more and more common and more exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I it's still kind of off subject a little bit, but like you see a lot in the like anime space, like people who are into anime, they have like a deep close bond with one another. Like, oh, that's an anime person, like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
cosplay and all those things. Yeah, absolutely. It's like a society.
yeah,
And I totally respect that. They're so passionate about all of the characters that they're portraying and enjoying. It's a really neat part of the world.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that like the big powerful thing about that is like so many people have like niches of like whatever their thing is, like whether maybe it's mechanical engineering or like for
Right.
you it's sustainable packaging, or for us it's robotic systems, and these niches, they create those communities and those cultures and places for people to communicate virtually.
Yes. It's the world is changing and we need to embrace the possibilities and the opportunities.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And another thing that I think is super valuable for individuals like looking to get into the industry, and people looking for seeking for a career in the industry, especially if you're only looking for like advice,
Mm.
like you can message people, like direct message people on like LinkedIn, and have a very good response rate. Like I think people are very responsive on LinkedIn, especially if you're not trying to sell something. If you start off like, hey, well, you want to buy this thing, then
Yeah.
the response rate's much lower. But like really, people are gonna be very people will message me on LinkedIn if they're like asking me like career advice. I almost answer like every single one of those
Yep.
messages that comes through.
Me
Somebody
too.
called me from like Washington State while I was at dinner the other night, and they were like, "Hey, like this is I'm a CNC machinist. I'm looking to shift my career more into automation. Like what?" And I had like a 30-45 minute conversation with them. Like, "Hey, this is what you know." And giving some of my points of advice and whatnot, and
Yep.
it's all because of that virtual connection.
I think that's great advice, and I heard that the first time from Steve Jobs, and he said,
Mm,
he told his story about how he got his first job at HP, and he was like 12 or something. Like seriously, he
wow.
reached out to a senior manager there and said, "I'm young. I want to work for you for a summer. I want to learn about this stuff." And the person on the other end of the phone said, "Okay, let's do this." And I think people inherently want to be helpful. They want
Yep.
to help people up the ladder and offer that advice where they can. I'm often reached out to by students in college in the packaging world, or young salespeople who are trying to figure this whole thing out, because it is really really hard at first, and well, every day really.
Right.
But I think you're exactly right. People want to help. I've had a very, very high success rate in reaching out to people and saying, "Hey, can you help me with this? I don't know how to do this. Do you have any advice?" And they'll almost always say yes.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have any other valuable tips for the people in the community?
Yeah, yeah. Post every day if you can. Post something, even if you think it's trivial. Some of my most viral posts have been something I thought was kind of silly, or something I just at the last minute thought, oh, that's interesting. I bet other people might find that interesting. And just
Yeah.
post a picture, post a video, post a LinkedIn poll, whatever it is. Keep getting your name out there to the point where
Mm.
people start to, uh, look forward to your updates.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And also, you said, just going off the cuff, because like one thing that I 100% experience, because we do a lot of planning with our content as well. So the thing that I've experienced and noticed is that the off the cuff stuff
Hmm.
performs much better than the anything that was, even if it's like still organic, but it's like
Right.
even like the copies maybe more curated, like
Hmm.
it's still like the just off the cuff, like my misspelled words and my not very good formatting in my
Yeah.
copy, and my just super raw video, no edit, like those tend to do like the best by far.
Totally agree. Absolutely. And I have numbers to show that you're exactly right. It's I think people are a little bit tired of the polished corporate video and the polished corporate social media posts. They want to see real people screwing
Yep.
up and learning and making
Yep.
their own mistakes. And hey, I tried this, it failed. I tried this, it
Hmm.
succeeded. So here's a couple things that I've learned.
Yeah.
But you're
Yeah,
totally right.
absolutely. And even like even stuff like the production of this podcast, there's
Mhm.
probably like 100% a layer of this podcast production quality that is making us lose some viewership just because it almost maybe it looks too clean. People see.
You never know. You never know
Yeah.
what people are going to be attracted to. You never know what people are going to engage with. People consume media in so many different ways.
Mm,
TikTok is now the number one search engine for millennials.
mm,
Think about that.
mind blowing. That's mind
More
blowing.
important to them than Google.
Mm.
And so if you search for sustainable packaging on TikTok, guess whose face
Mhm.
pops up? So that took me a
Right.
long time,
Ab-
right? It took me
Absolutely.
years.
Absolutely.
So, and we need to know that.
Yeah, and the content style, like you said, like TikTok, it's short form
Yep.
content, and now the searchability side of it. I notice like a lot of like I'm always educating myself, right? I
Mhm.
use these tools, so I'm especially YouTube. I'm a big YouTube person,
Yep.
so I
Me
really
too.
love shorts, and now shorts are searchable. So at one point in time,
Mhm.
shorts weren't searchable, but now shorts are searchable, and like I really like shorts because even if there's not a ton of content around it, right? So when I search
Yep.
something, a lot of times there's like 5 videos of
Mhm.
shorts of the thing that I'm actually searching. And
Yep.
so I'm probably going to go through and watch all 5 of those because it's only going to take me 5 minutes to watch those 5 videos, and
Right.
then I'll start consuming the longer form content to get like a deeper dive. Because when it comes to like like learning something, especially if like you're trying to learn something very particular right now, you don't want
Mhm.
to listen to a bunch of blah 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 words. Hi, I'm Billy Joe. This is my, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, get to the point, right? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I want to know the thing. So
absolutely. We recently had an RV we borrowed from our in-laws or my in-laws, and the slide out broke.
mm,
I have now watched more YouTube videos about RV slide outs than probably most people in the US because they helped. They were very helpful. They were very
yeah,
insightful. They showed video of, okay, this is how you take the motor out and release it so you can manually push it back in. It changes the world, you know?
absolutely. Yeah, it opens up the capability to so many things and makes so many things less scary.
Right.
We're definitely in completely different genres, but it really doesn't matter the genre you're in. That
Right.
like when you're providing the content around that, you're making like the entry point of whatever that thing is like feel so much easier. You can walk into a meeting, like if somebody's going to meet with you, right? Like they can now consume some content before meeting with you,
Right.
and have a good understanding and better questions notated. Like, okay, here are the questions that I watched, 5 of your videos. This is the information I learned, but here's the things I still
Right.
need to learn.
I totally agree. I was in a meeting recently with a client, and I showed them that we were talking about these different kinds of packaging. I showed them two of my TikToks, and with these short 10 to 15-second videos, I was able to totally explain to them how this concept would work for their product, and they were
Mm,
thrilled. Like, oh, that's awesome! Can you email me that video so I can show the team? Of course. And in five
yep.
seconds, we close the deal, and because we're educating, we're showing, we're it's
Mm,
so much packaging is demonstrable. We need to demonstrate how it works, and I
mm.
think that's probably true in many fields, especially yours.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it becomes a sales tool as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you basically mentioned that exactly. It's a sales tool.
Right.
And not only for yourself, but your other members of your team can,
Yeah.
if they're trying to, hey, look, we already have videos for this. And they can curate their own playlists for their customers and say, hey, here, look at these
Right.
videos. These align with you.
Exactly. And thankfully, our team, we've got I think 250 sales reps nationally in the US. and our team members can send my podcast to their customers, or my LinkedIn clips or TikToks, and say, hey, have you tried this? We can help you in this way, and getting really good feedback from that.
Awesome. Do you have any last valuable tips before we get out of here today?
Oh man, keep going, keep working. Don't give up. You never know when it's going to catch on fire, and just go. So many times people say, oh, I used to do that. I stopped. It was so too much work, or it was too this.
Mm,
Keep going. Keep your head up. Keep trying. Reach out to your friends. Keep yourself in the positive momentum.
awesome. Thank you, Cory. I really appreciate your time today. And if you would, tell everybody where they can find you at.
Yeah, thanks, Malachi. You can reach me on TikTok at Corrugated, CORYGATED, or Cory Conners on LinkedIn, CORYCONNORS, or email me, whatever works for you.
Awesome. Thank you again, Cory. And thank you for adding all your valuable points today.
Yeah, thank you.